Alright guys, we're going to be talking about breeding guppies in this video and for the next generation. Excuse me, I'm getting a little sick. I'm trying to just grind it through, get some videos done. If you're sick or you're healthy, your fish are still living, your fish are doing what they do, and you got to keep working on them. So no matter what, the fish room never stops every day of the year. So today it's getting late, it's after work. But I have some guppy tanks that need to be updated and I need to move some fish. So I'm going to show you some of my tanks, what's going on, and we're going to move some of my grow outs into a sale tank, and we're going to keep some future breeders. So let's go around, let's look at some fish, let's see all the babies that are around. I did a video on the guppy babies. I think it's kind of cool, just kind of a little bit of talking around in the fish room. But I have some fancy guppies that I'm doing a project on. We're going to take a look at those. We're going to selectively pick our trio or pair for the next generation, and I'll show you what else is going on. So here's a 20-gallon tank of the fancy guppies. See if I can focus in on some of these guys. So they are young enough to not dropping fry yet, but they're definitely old enough to be breeding, so I'm sure they're crossbreeding a little bit, but they're all brothers and sisters. They carry the same genes. And I have a handful of males and females. I'm also breeding super red plecos in this tank. But I'm going to go through, I'm going to move a lot of these guys out, because once they start dropping fry, it's a whole different story. It's a lot harder to go through and update the tank at that point. So I think this is the male I've picked right there. He's got a nice tail on him. It's a little bit longer than the rest. It's relatively squared off. He's chasing that female now. So I think I'm going to keep him right there. And then I'm going to pick out one of my nicer females. For example, things I don't want. This female right here, she's nice. Her tail's a little too dark for me. There's not enough pattern. I wouldn't want to breed that. This female here, she's got not much coloration at all. She's not going to be a breeder. But things like this female here, right there, actually these two, that might be the pair I keep. So I know that these fish are breeding now. She may have bred with a male, it's not ideal. But if I keep her right there in the middle of the tank that he's chasing to the right, and that male, over time I'm gonna have their fry. So right now they're brothers and sisters, they carry the same genetics. It doesn't really matter that much. So I'm gonna get the same genetics in these fish. I'm not crossbreeding with a whole different strain of fish. But I don't want that male to be breeding with like that female over a long extended period of time. Sorry if it keeps focusing in and out. But so if I switch them over, I let them breed for months and months. Over 3 months time, if the female is bred with the wrong male, it will be diluted in the new male's genetics will be passed on to that female. So the rest of these fish I have in this tank is a 20-gallon long. I'm growing some moss. I have a pleco breeding pot, and you can see some super reds on there. Those are babies. The parents are hiding right now, and they're probably in their caves. There's some more fry. So they're doing well. Kind of double dipping on this tank, breeding guppies and plecos. But I need to do this. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving Eve, I guess you call it, Wednesday. And then Thanksgiving on Thursday. So I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to do this stuff. It needs to be done right now. So it's pretty late. It's after midnight. But you got to grind through. You got to do these kind of things in the fish room to make sure the fish are doing well. And you see I'm already spawned. There's one fry right there. So I'm a little too late. But it's got to be done. This tank needs to be updated. I'm going to catch all these parents out. I'm going to keep 2 of my favorites, sell the rest, keep the strain going, the project running, and I'm going to have my nicest male and female in here and keep breeding those. But I'm also going to go around. It's late and I have my flashlight here. So we'll go around, we'll check out some of the other babies being born. And I'll show you some more guppies. While I have you guys, I figured I'd show you some fry because there's a lot of things going on in the fish room. This is another tank I dropped a male and female fancy guppy in. You can see the male there. And it's late, like I said. So I have my flashlight out. There's the male. He's kind of, I mean, I saw a lot of assorted or like mutt guppies, but they're still awesome fish. I mean, those are my favorite ones, honestly, because you get the most variety. And I have some orange shrimp in here. This tank's really hard to get into, but you can see they have some fry. The female's back there. She's kind of hanging out by the plant. She might even be having babies, for all I know. Her behavior looks a little different than normal. And these fry are getting bigger, so she might be a month later from now having some more babies. But there's that one tank. I have some more in the wall tank. Outside from the wall tank, these are some yellow half blacks. They usually prey on their fry, but as you can see up front here, I have some babies in this tank that are doing well. I've been feeding heavily, so they're in here doing good. There's probably a good dozen or so. It's not really well to focus because we're looking through the tank and there's a lot in the background. But you can see all the fry. I give them some floating plants to hide in. They have some mops and sponge filters in here. A lot of males versus females, which is not ideal, but they're still doing well. The generation before this is back there in the breeder box, and they're getting big enough to release in this tank. So I'll probably catch all these fry into a container and then dump out the last generation into the tank and put them in that hanger box. We'll go around and look at that box. So I have this breeder box on the tank. It just hooks up to an air line, pumps water in, which flows water in and then out of this. And you can see all those fry growing up. They're probably about 3 weeks old. So they're big enough that the parents won't eat them, but they're also big enough that they'll eat any new babies. Growing fish are more hungry than adult fish, and they're more likely to feed on fry than the actual parents. So if I were to put these in there, they would probably eat those babies before the parents. So I need to make sure that those babies can hide, or I can catch the babies out and then put these in there and put the babies in the box before I actually go ahead and do that, or they'll actually go ahead and eat all those babies even though they're living there with the parents. So that's the next generation in there. I'll put them in there, let them grow out. Kind of want to stock this 55 wall tank heavily before I start selling from it. So that's what I'm doing now. But there's more babies. Let's take a look. Up here in the 20 long, I have a female and a young male, half black, yellow half black. So I put her in there by herself. She had some babies, but she was acting sluggish. She kind of seemed lonely. So I gave her a young male to hang out with. And I don't even know, there might be breeding, but she is perked up a lot to have another fish in the tank besides being alone. So they're social community fish. I feel like they act a lot better when they're with more fish to swim around with. And I have some fry up here. They're small. You can see them up there. They're really young, but let's see if I can get this in focus. You can see at least that one swimming around. There's probably about a dozen or so, only 3 or 4 hanging out up top. The rest I'm sure are hiding in this acrylic yarn and moss, but they're doing well up here. I have more to show. Like this other 20-gallon tank with my red deltas. I showed this in my last guppy video. I had a pair in here for about a month. There's the male, there's the female. There was no activity for about a month and I knew she was pregnant. And finally, right before that time frame, she dropped some fry. There's actually a whole bunch in here. I'm only finding a few on camera. There's probably 20 to 30 fry. And it's getting late. I fed them their second feeding for the day. So they did get some food. The parents aren't super hungry and feeding on them. And I haven't seen the number depletion. So they're all still in there, but it's getting late. They're probably hiding more in those mops. You can see them swimming in and out. But we got those in there with the super reds also. There's a nice male outside his breeder cave with 2 generations of pleco babies. They're doing well. They're eating tons of food. I gotta feed them twice a day in large amounts because they're just eating up a whole bunch. But they're doing well. I'm gonna start selling them online as well. Also, super reds will be on my website, so you can check that out at biancosfish.com. I I have more tanks with fry. This will be the last one I show. These are those purple deltas. This is a new tank. I fully cleaned it out and added some new breeders to restart the generations and breed what I want. But you can see already there's a baby there. Up in the plants there's a bunch actually, and it's hard to see these fish at first glance in the tank whenever you're just looking at it. But there's a whole bunch of fry in here and they're all hiding, so they're doing a good job. They know the parents are in there, they can get preyed upon. So they're hiding really well, they're doing good. So you can see another one right there. So these guys have started to breed. Right now, just walking around looking through this video, I've seen about 10 or 12 of them. But there's probably more, and there's definitely more to come. So this will be the last tank I show about the breeding. I have probably 3 other tanks with breeders and babies. But let's focus back towards this first tank. I'm gonna go through, catch all of the fish into a container. I'll show you what they look like, and then we're gonna pick out our best pair or trio for our next generation. So in here we have caught all the adults. It's kind of hard to see, I know, I don't have all my lights on, and like I said, it is late. But I'm gonna go through here. I already have 2 pre-picked. You can see the males and females. I'm pretty happy. There's not many fish in here I'd be disappointed in breeding. So that's the main thing, you want to be consistent. There's a few females in here that don't have any color, but all the males have nice color and they have pretty rounded off tails, which I've been really fighting in the past. Like this guy here, I'm not going to be breeding, but he's got good pattern on his side and his tail is rounded off, which is huge improvements to this strain, because a long time I would only get 2 or 3 males that would look this way and maybe 10 that would have crooked tails and not desirable traits. But now all the fish look relatively desirable for what I'm looking for, which is a huge improvement. So now I'm going to go through, I'll probably pick that female in the back with her top fin's a little bit bluish. There's fish in front of her. She's one of the larger ones. Not this one in the front, but the one in the back. Right there. She's got a nice pattern to her tail. Color in the top and bottom. She's not too dark. That one to the right, she's the bigger of the 2. And then I'm going to pick out a male. Like that female there is still a really nice fish. Right here, about right there. But I don't want to keep breeding that fish because I don't think she has enough pattern to her tail. It's too dark. I want something brighter personally. So we're going to go ahead and, for example, I could pick this male up here that's more blue in the back. Sorry, I know this is kind of jumping around. The one at the top right by himself. I could breed that fish. I want more of a blue fish, but his pattern's not too strong and I don't really want blue. I want more yellows and splotches of blue and reds, whatever I can find. So I'm gonna look for a larger tail, which would probably be this guy up here to the top. Not crazy colors in the tail, but he's got a bigger tail, nice enough pattern that I like this fish, and I think he could be a new male to this strain. So his fins are longer, they're not too torn up or anything. I think he'll do a good job. And this is a very opinionated pick. So I'm gonna go with him, and then hopefully I'll get enough fry to pick from. Like this guy right here, I just said, the blue one, he's very nice. So it's a hard pick, but I'm going for the tails in this selecting. You wanna constantly always have a goal in mind, something you wanna improve. And I picked him in the tank earlier on. And now that I'm looking at these guys, I'm gonna take a minute off camera and look at every single fish, and maybe that'll change. So this is a pick that it definitely matters a lot to me. So I wanna get a nice fish, even if they have a smaller tail, but they hold it better. I might pick a different male. So let me go ahead and look through here. I'm gonna keep my best male and female, and I'll show you those guys, because now that I'm looking and I'm taking a close look, my opinion might have changed a little bit. So very important, I want to take my time in choosing. So I'm going to pick those 2. The rest will go to a sale tank, and then I'm going to show you what's going on for the next generation of these fish. Okay guys, I think I've made my decision here. So here I have the female and male I'm choosing to breed. And I just moved them over. It's the same water from the aquarium, so they're not having to adapt to new water for this camera shot. But they are a little bit stressed and they're sitting at the bottom. But I chose these two and I changed the male. I'm very glad I did this. Partially, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm so glad I do these videos because I primarily do them first for me. I get to take a closer look at my tanks, I get to appreciate them. I get to share with other people. So anything above that is just a plus. I'm not in it for any other reason. But this male here, his tail seemed stronger. He was a bigger male. And his tail almost grew upward on the top and bottom instead of sagging down. Which, if you're gonna pick a fish that their tail is hanging down, like the one I almost chose, and if that was the best of my fish, I would still pick that fish. But it doesn't, his tail does not grow out, up and down. It goes out and it starts to sag. So every generation is going to be more so like that. And this fish here, his tail is very consistent. It's rounded off. It's not tethered. So he has a rounded off tail, which is important. And then the top actually grows up a little bit, and the bottom goes out and down. So pretty consistent tail, something I am confident to replicate. And then this female is very nice color as well. So these two fish are going to continue the strain, and to pick these two out when they're in a container and they're stressed out and their color's not their best, this strain looks a lot better than I'm showing you. But those are my two next fish that will continue this strain. These guys will all be for sale. If you want any of these fish, they're on my website, biancosfish.com, or you can email me at biancosfish@gmail.com or pittsburghpets16@gmail.com as well. So these fish are all for sale, and I wish I could keep them all. They're looking good. I'll sell them on the website. Some will go to pet stores and local customers. But they're stressed out in the containers. But these are some really nice assorted fancy guppies. So hope you guys enjoy me doing this kind of stuff. I know I'm not getting the best views and it is late, but I had to do this. I had to redo this 20-gallon tank and take out those guys before they all started breeding, which I did spot some fries, so they are starting to breed. But I don't want to have 50 babies in here and then go through and try to pick out a male and female. So I'm picking out those two. The rest will go for sale, and then they're going to stay in here, and this will be my second generation of breeding this specific project. So I'm excited for it. I think I got some nice fish. I got pretty good consistency overall for what could have happened. And hope you guys enjoy this. The fish room never stops. There's always something going on. Don't go ahead and try to do 4 tanks in a day and then push it off if you can't get to it. Pick one tank, get it done. If you have more time, go to the next. For example, this bottom 20-gallon here and the one next to it, I got to go through. I got to catch out the adult plecos, remove them for sale, grow out the babies, move out the guppies, pick some new strains to breed. But I knew I couldn't do it all tonight, but I had to go ahead and do something, so I picked this tank. So 1 tank down, 2 more to go, and there's plenty more that need updated. It's a constant battle in here, but you gotta stay up to date with your tanks and make sure that you're doing the right thing or staying on track. Hope you enjoyed this little update. Check out those fish on the website if you like it. I know it's not the best quality video, but I want to stay up to date with you guys, show what's going on. Don't take too much on every single day. Try to chip away at it. Stay up to date with your fish room, with your fish, with your breeding projects. Have a plan in mind and stick to it. And thanks for watching. If you like this video, like below, comment, let me know what you guys think. I kind of just show you how it is in the fish room. I don't really do a whole lot of editing. I'll cut in and out a little bit, do the necessities. But I like kind of showing you the footage that I see and not going crazy editing with too much stuff. Just check out the fish. That's pretty much it. But go ahead, check out the fish. Like I said, go on my website, biancosfish.com. If you're looking for guppies and you need some stuff, check it out. I really appreciate it. You can email me. And if you're not already subscribed, go down there, subscribe. I gotta promote the channel. You guys mean so much to me, and I wouldn't be doing these videos. I would still be doing the fish stuff, but I wouldn't shoot it. So you guys are the reason I do it. I do the content for you and for myself. But thanks a lot, and stay tuned for the next video.